We have him in studio. It's been far too long. He is the man who is in charge of investigations and research at that superb organization, Judicial Watch, former military intelligence, counterintelligence officer, Chris Farrell. Welcome in studio.
Great to be with you, Seb.
So much to discuss. Let's start with the peculiar timing of a special counsel being appointed by DOJ. What was it, 72 hours after somebody called President Trump announced his candidacy? A special counsel was empaneled to coordinate the investigations of the Mar-a-Lago raid and the other January 6 investigations. Chris, how does any of this make sense given that 48 hours before that, I think it was the Washington Post that said, sorry, we didn't really find anything serious in the Mar-a-Lago raid. What's the real reason for all of this?
Because the Department of Justice has been weaponized by Biden through his dupe, Garland. And let's all thank God Garland is not
Right.
a justice of the Supreme Court. Garland's professional life is over when he leaves being Attorney General. I'm sure he'll, ply his legal trade elsewhere and make millions of dollars. But his government functions are over when he leaves as Attorney General.
Now, I'm so glad you said this because for me, many people say, oh, he's this wicked individual. He's a meat puppet. I mean, it's really Lisa Monaco and the deputies that are running AG. You look at how this guy testifies. Merrick Garland isn't the mastermind of all this, is he?
No, he's not. And, I guess he's a good actor. He's acted before. And so he comes out and he kind of goes through the script. And then he quickly runs off stage, scared little mouse.
Oh, no, but before he does that, he says, how dare anyone cast aspersions on the FBI? And then he runs off stage.
Right.
That's what he did after Mar-a-Lago.
Doesn't take a single question.
Not one question.
And remember, Mar-a-Lago, the raid there was conducted 91 days before an election.
Yeah.
Right, because there's a prohibition on those sorts of activities. Generally speaking,
there's an internal protocol.
Right. It's the manual says don't do it. And now in this case, they have to keep the pressure up. I think it's going to boomerang. I think that announcing this special prosecutor, people are going to look at this and say, this is crazy. How many times are you going to have impeachments and special prosecutors, and they watched Mueller and the Russia. How many times are they going to do this? And I think it accrues. There's a sympathetic accrual to the benefit of President Trump because people realize it's just a crass.
It's just vindictive
stunt.
Right.
It's a stunt to try to muddy the guy up, and you're somehow going to have a special prosecutor look at Mar-a-Lago and January 6th. Because those two go so well together, right? I mean, they're so interrelated. I mean, it's the we hate Trump, gotta block him team.
Wow.
That's what it really is.
Wow, that's it. Okay, I think we've got a title for this segment. It is the We Hate Trump, Gotta Block Him team. We're talking to the Director of Investigations and Research, Chris Farrell. This is an amazing organization fighting the swamp every single day. Please support them. Go to judicialwatch.org. That's judicialwatch.org. Comment on, because I opened the show with this, CBS confirming the Hunter laptop story yesterday.
Yeah.
What's that timing about? Why now? Just to get it out of the way before 24?
I guess. I mean,
it's weird,
there's
right?
no rhyme or reason. I heard the gentleman who had the repair shop, is it John Paul Mac Isaac?
Yeah.
I worry about getting his name not exactly right. I heard him interviewed this morning, and he actually provided CBS with a mirrored copy of the drive because they insisted on doing their own technical analysis. Right. So he was sort of like, well, better late than never. And at least they bothered to actually do a technical analysis rather than just kind of thumb through it and say, yeah, we think it's. So he kind of had a mixed message on it. And
my argument is a very simple one. You don't need a technical analyst. You don't need any forensics. If Hunter Biden's lawyers demand the drives back, they're his drives. Right?
Right.
I mean, they demanded them back.
Yeah, and of course thankfully he had a a waiver in his service contract.
Yeah, 60 days or something.
Right. Said if you don't claim it,
they become his property,
or pay for it, then he takes custody.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is he pointed out that there was not a repair job that was requested. Hunter Biden requested data recovery.
Data recovery, right.
Which is not a repair job.
Right.
It's an effort to recover the actual content.
Right.
And that's how, when he came across this stuff, he was, holy cow, what in the world? And of course, he's got a book that he's just come out with. So, more power to him, because they tried to destroy that guy.
Oh, right? He's got a book out?
Yeah, he's got a book out.
All right. Let's get him on.
I don't remember the title of it, unfortunately, but he points out how they tried to destroy him. They went out of their way to call him a Russian agent.
Of course.
Everything under the sun.
We're back with Chris Farrell, Director of Research and Investigations at Judicial Watch. They are the swamp monster hunters extraordinaire. Chris, let's talk about this individual, the new special counsel, Jack Smith. First things first, kind of has a record with things that are not very Trumpian or America First or conservative, correct?
Yeah. He's a political operator, right? I mean, this is not an attorney who has liberal ideas. This guy is a leftist political operator and has been for decades. And we know that because he was involved. He had had consultations way back when. You remember Lois Lerner at the IRS?
Targeting the Tea Party patriots.
That is correct. And so there was on the heels or at the back end of the Citizens United decision, the left was up in arms, and they said, well, we can go after Tea Party groups, patriot groups, anybody organizing on the right, trying to create 501c3 nonprofit organizations, C4 organizations, trying to be political activists, and we're going to suppress their activities. Right. And this was the Obama administration weaponizing the IRS to suppress their political opposition.
Slow roll their applications, their 501c3 status, scare them, ask them questions. What
Correct.
Kind of activities are you involved in?
There were groups that were asked, you say that you open up your meetings with a prayer. Right. What kind of prayers do you pray? Right. Literally, people were asked that.
And he was involved in that.
He provided legal consultations to Lois Lerner back then.
The woman responsible.
Correct.
Let's add a little bit of more color. This is from Breitbart.com. His wife, this is Jack Smith, the new special counsel, not only made campaign contributions to the Friends of Rashida Tlaib. Yeah, not exactly your average Democrat. We have the filings here. These are the filings that I found online for her donations. She donated, this is Katie Chavigny, her company, Big Mouth Productions. Yeah, sure, Big Mouth Productions, donated to the campaign of Biden for president and the Biden Victory Fund. And not only that, her production company, let me get this right because I wouldn't want to make a mistake, made a film in 2020, and this is their description, an intimate look into the life of former First Lady Michelle Obama called Becoming. So no potential there for any problems, right?
Cue the choir. This is the kind of stuff where, and of course this is a one-way street, right? The left likes to look at spouses of some people but not of others.
Yes.
But this guy, Jack Smith, is a political operator. He has been selected for a reason, and he's going to walk around for the next 2 years banging a drum, screaming about Trump and making accusations. His office will undoubtedly be a leak factory.
Of course.
So brace up and get ready for that.
But what are your predictions? Because we are 2 years away from the election. The primaries will start in just over a year. At Mar-a-Lago last week, one of the first standing ovations was for Eric Trump. The president recognized his son, who stood up in the front row, got a standing ovation as the most subpoenaed man in American history. This is like an endless, it's like a Sisyphean endless cycle, is it not? More of what we've seen for the last 7 years?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody was expecting, oh well, new election, clean break, different story, no.
Yeah, hang on. What were we promised in the inauguration? Unity, peace and unity, right?
Yeah, this is, again, it's Orwellian. Whatever they say they're doing is the exact opposite. It's like the Defensive Marriage Act. It's not.
Right.
The Equality Act is not. So whatever it's called or whatever they claim, go to the polar opposite, and that's what you're really talking about.
What is your advice if the man who's already announced, the first person to announce, asked for your advice as somebody who understands the corruption, not political advice, the corruption of DOJ?
Yeah.
Do you play hardball, talk to my attorney, or do you say, full disclosure, come at me? What is the way to deal with people who are so corrupt? Because I had a friend from his campaign who was subpoenaed from January 6th, and I told her, don't give them whatever you give them will be twisted. Is that good advice? I'm not a lawyer.
And nor am I, thank God. And so but my 35 years of experience in this world tells me that you have to be as aggressively obnoxious back as they are to you.
Right.
They're not going to be your friend.
Right.
They're not going to do a movie called Becoming. They're not gonna,
about your wife.
You're not going to have glossy magazine covers about what a charming, wonderful person you are. Right?
And never presuppose good faith on their behalf. That way leads ruin.
Correct. And so don't cooperate. I mean, you have certain legal obligations that you have to comport yourself to, but that's why you have attorneys, right? And but exercise all of your legal rights and options, within the framework of what is required. But the idea of just kind of, oh, gee, will you be my friend? Forget about it. It's not happening.
Happen. Wise advice from Chris Farrell. It's going to be a heck of a ride for the next 2 years. Please support the organization that is doing more than anyone else in this stinking city to get to the truth. It's Judicial Watch, judicialwatch.org, and we've been talking to Chris Farrell.